Alright, what's up everyone? Sean here, and after a little bit of tinkering with the Mac and OBS setup, hopefully this will work and the frame rate won't be as bad as what happened with the One Piece reaction, unfortunately. Although the things I said was still worth keeping, I think, in my eyes anyway. So that's why I kept it for the most part, with some tinkering I did during the actual reaction of things. But I did want to go over, just like a closer look type of fashion. Do a little bit of a more of a deep dive with this trailer that they've released for the One Piece live action series by Netflix. And overall, my opinion is still going to be largely the same. Cautiously, sort of like curious or devilishly curious, or even bloody curious. I guess you could sort of put it that way. It's definitely still, like, my opinion also stands where there are highlights to take away from this, like the sets, the boats, the ships, um, the sort of design of things, visual design of things, when it comes to certain aspects of it are actually good. There is something to take away from. And of course, with Luffy right here, for example, I mean, people have been saying, like, oh, Luffy just kind of, or this Luffy kind of looks like a dude just cosplaying and stuff like that. I mean, at this point, you really can't help but to really think that way. Anime is so super cartoony in comparison to, let's say, like Marvel stuff, right? Comic books. Whenever they translate things from the comic books, it translates a lot better than anime because it's just such a different vibe. It's not like usually they're not gritty and such like that, or grounded. Usually there are grounded animes, of course, and some of them could have potentially worked, but unfortunately it wasn't in the right hands. Say like, Cowboy Bebop, for example, that could have been something that would worked. And there were a number of things like Ghost in the Shell, which I don't. From what I've seen, I haven't seen the whole movie, but from what I've seen, isn't like entirely horrible and like that. With some stuff aside, but point being though, with this kind of stuff, you really just can't help but shake off that. You can't help to shake off that feeling. Try to shake off the feeling to. But point is here is that it's really hard to shake off that feeling when it comes to anime and live action. Again, because it's so cartoony, it's just hard to shake off that feeling. So it's always gonna come off as some dude or some chick cosplaying at an anime convention. And probably there are costumes done better than this. I mean, you just never know, right? I mean, um, because they're all about looking good, not being practical, right? That's why you have to make some sacrifices. Luffy already has the string with the straw hat because it's definitely not going to be practical. Early on with Luffy, he never had the string. So I think later on Nami gives him the string fixed to his hat. It's like invisible, so we can't really see it. It's just kind of how it works. He hides the string, I think, in his head anyway. So, like with it, like, yeah, in like his between his hair and the hat. So, anime tropes aside, like, yeah, they're just things that you have to be willing to tolerate. Like the practicality will definitely play a factor, which is why um Luffy wears shoes here rather than sandals. And I did want to point this out, which I did kind of fail to do so in the reaction. You know, Understand that I was like very, like well, excited in the sense that, oh man, the trailer is out. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things going on in my head, so I kind of like missed some things. And I did want to point out this Luffy's outfit right here. And a lot of people pointed out, this is a clear shot. A lot of people pointed out that these are supposed to be references for the chapter covers. Chapter covers with One Piece characters tend to have like different outfits for each character a lot of the times, just because it's something Oda wants to do just to keep it fun and stuff like that. I'm sure that's what I'm assuming anyway. And Luffy, yes, does wear this type of outfit in the chapter covers, not so much in the anime. or manga, like the actual story of things. So, it could be nice, but I guess it definitely takes away from the trademark look of Luffy and other such characters. Although that there is an exception with the female characters because they just constantly wear different outfits, along with other certain characters too. So Luffy though is always kind of like the exception. He is the main character after all, the shonen, main character and all that stuff. So you definitely don't want to do that too much, with some exceptions. It really depends on the situation of things, like the One Piece movies, for example. Blah blah blah. There's another outfit actually from the chapter cover, early ones at that. And yes, this is the Baratier again. Very well done for what it is. It's a pretty good rendition of the restaurant, the sea restaurant, in the middle of the ocean, supposedly, right? I'm not sure if this is like taking place nearby Captain Morgan's base, or this is out there somewhere in the East Blue, like it was in the original story. But I just wanted to say that yes, this is a pretty well done rendition of the Baratier. And again, yes, this is Luffy wearing a different outfit. Again, you definitely do see the shoes. That is for stunt purposes. It's just, again, you have to factor in the practical side of things, just like a lot of the anime live action stuff with Cowboy Bebop's Faye, with her outfit. If you look at Faye, she's very, fan servicey, shows a lot of skin in the anime, but in the live action, it's very covered up in comparison to Faye. And I'm definitely willing to overlook that because it's for practical purposes, stunts, moving around, such like that. Imagine trying to fight in those kind of outfits, right? Especially for female characters, where it's very much more on the fan servicey side, or showing a lot of skin, that type of stuff. It definitely does play all those factors, and yes, sometimes we do miss those things, right, from the original character design being translated over to live action. Again, you have to really, take those factors in and, be willing to understand those circumstances. So that's why I'm here. Yes, it is strange to see Luffy with shoes, but gotta think about this actor trying to move around and such like that, especially with action going on. Now it could have been maybe like maybe like they could have like make it more like sandals, but have like straps for like straps for the ankles and stuff like that to keep the sandal look, but so that they don't slip off. But maybe having open toes while doing stunts is quite dangerous all in all. So that's probably why, again, they probably stuck with the shoes. And yeah, so I wanted to try to see if there is stuff to point out with this setting here. And seems like for the most part, it seems like a really good shot with the Marine base. I mean, again, maybe that doesn't look a little goofy just because it's an anime thing. It's based from an anime. Can't really shake off that feeling, so things are just gonna look goofy. And I think overall, I wanted to say this too, that the tone of the show already, just established from the trailer, does embrace that in a way. So I think they do a good job, like just show off the goofiness. I think they're just like it accepts the goofy nature of it and trying not to be serious or gritty or anything of those like usual sort of nuances you would definitely see from more of like a Western production side of things, where they try to make something lighthearted, goofy, more into like gritty and serious and badass or whatever, and try to make it realistic. But here, it just starts to feel similar quite a bit with the story anyway. Um, I think overall here, I wanted to say that I think this has been a pretty good rendition of Zoro, and I do like Zoro. He's my favorite character out of all the One Piece characters, and it pretty much like really winds down to how ridiculous these characters look because like like the green hair and such like that. I think the green hair is done tastefully for the most part. It's not bright, it's not obnoxious. It's just yeah, it's green. It represents Zoro's like colors and stuff like that pretty well. Okay, and then yes, the actor is Japanese, I believe, at least half anyway, if not full, mostly Japanese. And again, this is supposed to be Mr. Seven over here fighting against Zoro, which has supposedly happened in the past. I mean, this is like a new scene, uh, exclusively for the live action stuff, which is neat. I mean, they've managed to fit in extra stuff despite having this to be 8 episodes, trying to cover the entirety of East Blue. We have to remember that for those who know enough about One Piece. So, if anything, we've seen from Cowboy Bebop, just the pacing alone is pretty hectic. So I imagine this is going to be much more hectic for a lot of people. So I'm trying to like prepare myself for that as much as possible. But it just it is going to be jarring for sure. And I did say like a lot of like, I mean, this very last move with Zoro right here does come off a little goofy, but overall this is supposed to be coming from an anime anyway, so I think our worry or my worry here is kind of like trivial for right now, and really I think the biggest problem here for this live action series right off the bat is the dialogue. But I'm gonna just hold that off for right now. And then yes, we have Nami right here. I mean, like I said, what could you really do? I think for the most part they did what you know the best, and I think this is the best they could have done to keep it faithful, but at the same time translate well onto the screen. Yeah, I mean this is just the striped shirt that we've seen with Nami first, the first time we've seen her, and I just a thought here. I do miss the outfit. I do miss like Nami with like short hair and stuff like that because that's like how you're first introduced to her. And I was hoping that they would keep Nami having that like outfit sort of, but I guess it makes sense. It's kind of like a progression thing where well Nami kind of pays attention to fashion and over time as pirates they kind of find more treasure here and there, sell money or get money from selling stuff. So Nami over time got herself some better outfits, better tops, better shoes probably and such like that. You know, she wore a skirt at first, but then after the time skip, she's wearing pants now. So, there are very drastic changes, right, with just Nami alone, from the visual side of things. But I wanted to say that yes, I do miss the very first outfit from Nami. It's very nostalgic, so it's kind of nice to see. I guess in a done in a different way, or here in this case here, and it's Nami's a girl with orange hair. I mean, what else could you do really? She doesn't have any really outlandish features other than the orange hair, so that's pretty much all you could really do, really. So I think Nami is fine. Some may call it like, oh, a party city wig or whatever. Again, it's anime, so you can't really you can't really shake off that feeling. And then here's Shanks. We've only seen the back of his head, but for what it is, it's fine. I mean, we've seen the straw hat. Um, and again, the CG effects here, at least with the monster anyway, I think look fine. I mean, with the water drizzling down and everything, I think it's a pretty neat effect for CGI. Having seeing so much CGI at this point, um, I try to be a little more forgiving nowadays. But yeah, um, this is definitely more of a realistic approach with um this rendition of the Sea King, and uh for what it is, I mean I think it looks fine. It doesn't have to be exactly like the one from the anime or whatever. It was like brown. They kept the red eyes. That's fine. I'm pretty sure they did that because it translates a little more well with what's going on here. Having this like brown thing maybe didn't come off um as well translated as what we see here. So I think that's something to um forgive, I guess. Again, with the ships, right? I think this is well done. I believe this is supposed to be, yeah, this is just a generic ship. I don't think anyone's on board really, except for maybe like Kobe. I think maybe Kobe might be on that ship or something. It might be it is a kind of a different telling of it. Even the anime kind of deviated from how um the first chapter was being, or the first few chapters were being told. Pretty different, but still kind of gets the same thing across. So again, it's kind of deviating again here, and we have Alvita right here. Her ship looks kind of appropriate. I don't remember exactly how it looks, but I got you get the gist of it. Very pink ship, but when it comes to like these parts, these shots, they have the physical ship. It's a physical effect, which is like actually really nice. When it comes to these sort of shots, this is looking more CGI, I'm sure. And then yes, we constantly see Buggy and stuff like that, but we'll get to him in a bit. But yeah, again, this is very practical, very physical. I do like that. I do like that. I do respect that craftsmanship that they put into the show, just with the ships and the sets and stuff like that alone. And then now, yes, we let's talk about Buggy. So I didn't even realize because it was so brief with Buggy that he looks quite different because of the face paint, and it does come off more like Joker because it's supposed to be just his skin. Like like he doesn't have any white paint on his face. He just has like the red stuff, the nose, of course, and the blue streaks right here across his eyes, and then you have the bones, right, the crossbones. But the only thing different is the white face paint. Maybe they did that again because you can see more of the face. You know, it contrasts better with the makeup, the blue, the crossbone. Well, the crossbone is like white, so that's where it gets lost. Maybe because the actor's like skin tone at the time didn't work out with this makeup, so they had to like do the white paint thing. And again, I think for the most part though, it is a pretty decent rendition of Buggy. He does have the fur trim, a little bit of ascot is right here. Um, he looks like he's wearing his coat worn on his shoulder, just like in the show or manga or whatever. Just like in the original story. He still has this big hat, the bandana or whatever, and his blue hair is still coming out from the hat, just like in the original story. Yes, that again, that's supposed to be his hair, not from what's attached to the hat. That's actually his hair. So he does have long hair. Um, and that's supposed to be kind of like a, I guess a gag, a visual gag. I guess I don't know, whatever you call it. So, the way he laughs too, I definitely feel that they wanted to bring in the Joker kind of influence into here. Just like a lot of like the Western renditions of clowns nowadays. Joker is such a popular character. You know, a lot of these directors or whoever just can't help but bring in that aspect to these clown characters, including Buggy here. Even back in the day with 4Kids dub, and I think even the Funimation dub, they just had Buggy laugh like that, like just like kind of like very similar to the Joker, because can't help it. Joker is a very popular character, very iconic, thanks to Mark Hamill and such like that, and of course the story of the Batman the animated series. So yeah, you just can't help but think of Joker when you see Buggy on the screen here. I do find it interesting. They kind of like gave him like dirty teeth, like more of like that stereotypical pirate kind of thing from the Western side of things, right? But yeah, other than that, you can't really go off of anything else really, other than what's on his face and what's he's wearing and stuff like that. So it does look like Buggy for the most part. Like when you see him, this is like boom, Buggy, right? So that itself is okay. I even like that they kept the stubble right here, which is something Buggy, yes, does have. I do wish the fur trim could have been bigger, more pronounced, like in the show, but it's there. Represents the fur trim. I guess it's fine enough. So let's see here. Okay, so this scene right here, this is kind of where I have some of my problems here as well. There's a bit of that banter you see between Zoro and Nami, especially in the beginning of things. Um, right, and then Luffy points out, "Oh, I sense some tension between the two of you," right? And then they do the we're amongst the crew, right? And then the two say, "We're not a crew, we're not friends," that type of trope. Uh, it's that writing that is like tiresome at this point. Like we've seen it so many times throughout a number of movies, especially with the newer Marvel stuff. Just like pointing out things to the audience. Hey, this is happening. It's funny, right? Like that kind of writing. Forspoken definitely drove that home in a bad way, and it's like, um, I mean, when it comes to like her that initial scene was in Forspoken where she's like, I can move things with my mind or whatever she says, and then she goes happy about it. I think that's okay, but there are definitely plenty of other stuff in the dialogue that you can criticize about. Like I would say that's a more of a natural reaction for someone who got powers from an ordinary world and being thrown into this fantasy world, right? But let's put that aside. Um, that writing definitely does bleed over to other scenes with the ring talk, the bracelet talking and stuff like that. Those sort of scenes, and that kind of writing is definitely bleeding over to here with the whole pointing out stuff and I sense some tension, like that kind of stuff. Like like, bro, we don't really need to have things said to us. We can find out on our own. Like when you just hear what's going on with Zoro and Nami, oh, we sense the tension, right? There's something going on with the two. Something's budding between the two, something, right? But you gotta have a character to point it out because they think it's funny, right? Maybe sometimes it works, but at this point, it's been so overused that it's going to grind our gears. It's going to grind our experience trying to take in this show when this does come out. And then we have let me see, we do have Usopp coming up. Yeah, we're not a crew. Okay, so there is this too. I forgot to point this out during the reaction of things. Right, this is Garp's ship. Garp is already showing up, which is very strange. Garp doesn't even show up like later on, I don't think anyway. Yeah, this is Garp's ship, so maybe this is like during when Luffy and then now his established crew are making their escape, and then Garp is kind of like wanting to capture Luffy to maybe try to discipline him to become a Marine or something, because that's what he wanted in the first place. Yeah, so definitely you see Garp right there with my mouse right there. And just 1 second right here. Okay, so there's Garp right there. Whoever his vice captain is, whatever his right hand person at the time, standing right there. And there's yeah, it's definitely Garp ship, all right. It's a decent rendition. you get enough that you know it's Garp's ship because he does have the dog head on the bow of the ship anyway. I forget what it's called, like the whatever attachment is on the bow of the ship, like it's like the iconic like head of whatever it is. I think there's a term for it, but whatever. It's the head of the ship. Anyway, so yes, that is Garp indeed. And then there's Usopp. Yeah, so looks like they are firing at the crew. So it looks like this is probably more towards the end, or maybe the middle of it or something when they're just out um in the sea, and then all of a sudden, oh, Garp shows up or something. This could be the final part, though. I feel, but we'll see. And then again, I did point out that Usopp does not have his nose here, and for the most part, if I haven't said it already, I think it is for the best because it's very outlandish. But we do miss out on like the gags that we've seen from Usopp in the anime. There's so much gags about his nose that it's great in the anime, but when it comes to here, you know, we've seen it with like Pinocchio and stuff like that. It does come off with like that uncanny valley type of thing, type of effect. Like it's just a little more creepy than anything, and that does add the appropriate tone for those parts. But when you constantly see a long nose in a live action show like this, I think that'll be jarring. Like it'll come off more jarring than anything. Yeah, even though yes, this is supposed to be. I see your fireworks going off. It is Father's Day, I guess. Um, it just doesn't translate well. I don't think for the most part. But yes, yeah, we are going to miss out on a big part of Usopp visually, but it's not like it takes away his powers or anything like that. He's not powered by his nose or anything like that. It's not like he lies and his nose grows or anything like that. That's not what Usopp is. Although ironically, he is a liar. He lies a lot, and his nose just happens to be very long. You know. And you also have to remember, right? That long nose actually comes from his mom. His mom actually had the nose, although not as pronounced like Usopp's, but it was there. And so that also would have been really hard to like take seriously because his mom dies later on due to some like unknown illness. So it definitely is the bet for the best to take away the nose, keep it normal. You know what I mean? Like it also may also help like avoid any like weird like any of those weird issues that you see on Twitter and everything like that. Like, oh, why does this certain guy have like this long nose? It's supposed it looks like a portrait of like of this and this and that or something, in a negative way or whatever. So maybe that could have been it might be best to just avoid it. So I think it's for the best for the nose, right? At least you see with his hair, his bandana, and stuff like that, and his outfit to an extent too. And then later on, you do see. Oh my gosh, the fireworks. Um, Later on, you do see his slingshot. So that's definitely the most important thing about Usopp. Although he doesn't have his goggles, so that's something of a miss too. I feel, but okay, let me see here. It was very brief, so I did not even catch Usopp here like first time. Oh, interesting. We see Zoro with a yellow shirt. I'm not sure what this is from. It might be just a different an outfit, right? Just for the show. It might be something. Oh my goodness, going off with the fireworks here. I apologize if that's catching up here or catching on the audio, but I didn't even realize till now that Zoro is wearing a yellow shirt in this scene. And then again, we have Luffy wearing that shirt that you see from the chapter cover. So hopefully I can find that picture to make clarify that reference. But yeah, it looks like they're getting hit by Garp's cannon fire, right? And then also this is another outfit from of Luffy from another chapter cover. So people have been pointing that out, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. Oh snap. Then you actually get to see Luffy stretching here very briefly, but you get to see it nonetheless. And then here are the Marine. Oh yeah, this Sanji right here. Oh my gosh, people need to chill with the fireworks. But anyway, oh shoot. Looks like I like passed over Sanji. Maybe hold on, let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and try to not skip over anything as much as possible. Yeah, so we've seen this shot right here. Okay, here's Sanji right here. Okay, this is another thing I wanted to point out. So yes, I did point out that the curly eyebrow thing is gone over here. I think it is for the best. You know, kind of like with Usopp's nose. It is a part of his character in a way. I mean, Zoro makes fun of it whenever Zoro and Sanji have their little banter and stuff like that, which is always great to see. But um, he does come off a little older here, but you know, it's whatever. I mean, you can't really do much about it. He does have a bit of a stubble, I think, just like very light stubble. Sanji's supposed to have like a really light goatee or something like that, like really, really light. So I think it's fine. The hair is, I think, okay. I mean, it might look all like kind of messy just because this is like middle of the action, so this is probably not like the usual Sanji we'll see. But I don't know. Although otherwise, you know, this is Sanji. He's wearing like a blue shirt with the suit, and he has the blonde hair, kind of like similar to that of the original Sanji. And I do want to say overall, like at least with the original crew anyway, the casting is definitely decent from the looks of things. They kept Zoro Japanese, even though I think Zoro's supposed to be like half Japanese, half Spanish, or something like that. Like that. Um, but I could be wrong on that one. I know Zoro comes from. I mean, there's a bit of spoilers potentially, but this has only been covered from the chapter. Not a chapter cover, the SBS, I guess you could say. It's basically like the AMA type of thing, but with Oda-san or Oda Sensei. Um, Oda Sensei answered somebody's question as to what Zoro's family tree is like, and I will say that he is part Japanese for sure. Jeez Louise, that fireworks. Zoro is part Japanese through and through for sure. So that is all right in my eyes, right? With who I forget the actor's name, forgive me, but I think it's Mackenzie or something like that. I have to really look that up later, but I'm glad that for the most part they did cast Zoro to be Japanese. I think that it was a pretty good choice. With Sanji here, I mean, yeah, this is a pretty decent casting for what it's given here. Again, like the hair and stuff like that. Like you know it's Sanji. I mean, even with the missing curly eyebrow, um, it's I think for the best for the most part. I guess you know like it's gonna be jarring again, kind of like with Usopp's nose. Um, you know, it's I think for the best for the most part. We will kind of miss like that gag where in the time skip Sanji's hair is now parted in the opposite way, right? So his other eye is being covered, but now you see his other eyebrow, and it's actually curling in the inside rather than the outer point, right? And that's also supposed to be a gag. Like you're not supposed to be seeing both of Sanji's eyes at once, because it's you see the curling of like it's like an inverse curl, like a weird asymmetrical curling thing going on. It's pretty funny, but. Never seen it happen just yet, but we're gonna miss that gag if they plan to even continue this on Netflix. We'll have to wait and see about that. Okay, so he takes off his jacket, he dives in, and then I don't think there's much to go off from those parts. So let me see if I can like. Okay, so um, let's just play it out right here. Okay, so we've seen the Marines, right? You know what? I could just probably slow it down like to whoa, 0.75 a little bit, so that'll be pretty helpful right here. Marines. Okay, so yes, they are quite different. They're wearing sleeves. It probably is for the best. I mean, given the conditions of the shot at the time, uh, they definitely build these sets, and and then like they probably like filmed this at some like airstrip or something like that, and then they set up these walls right here for their set. It is outdoors for sure, for those parts. But yeah, these are definitely built, by hand for sure. And I thought this was funny, Luffy on the ground. But yeah, Nami the fighting with Zoro and Luffy is definitely different. They've never seen that happen. Nami is in the anime at least was stealing stuff from Morgan's office, I believe. Or at least Helmeppo's. I think either of the two. She was stealing some stuff, and then she finds out about Buggy, and that's where it kind of like foreshadows Buggy's appearance later on. But Nami's just straight up here, so that's kind of different. Um, Not sure what they're gonna do with that for this one, but yeah. And then you see Usopp. There you go. There's the slingshot. You even see like the wristband or forearm band or whatever you want to call it. Very accurate. And this is also an outfit Usopp does wear somewhere in the chapter covers. I believe, in fact, it's the same chapter cover with Luffy wearing that other, like that the dark Hawaiian looking shirt, Aloha shirt. So Usopp is also wearing that. Funny enough, I'm not sure this is supposed to be Usopp when he's first introduced and first kind of like shooting at Luffy and the others. Or this could be Usopp in action when he's fighting against the pirates of sorts. It could be the Black Cat pirates, could be some other pirates, I don't know. But we do see, yes, the slingshot through and through. So you know it's Usopp for the most part. So I think overall, yes, like, yeah, even though, yeah, he doesn't have his nose, there are other important features thrown in there, including, of course, the slingshot. And then you see right here let's go back. Full body. There we go. Full body was very, very brief. He's like a very side character. Nothing has really happened to full body. He teams up with Django later on, which is funny. Who is from the Black Cat Pirates? The hypnotist, right? Who acts like Michael Jackson. Funny enough. Anyway, so yeah, it is a full body. You definitely know because like the striped suit, the light blue sleeve. I think he does pull out a pistol too. Although we don't see his iron fist, quote unquote. It's just basically like brass knuckles embedded into his one of his hands. And later on he gets it both into his hands. Like, I don't think it's something it's permanently on his hands. Maybe it might be something he puts on, right? So that's why he's called Iron Fist full body. And then yeah, Sanji kicks away the pistol, like, hey, don't shoot shit in my restaurant, you know. Oops. Go. Holding something. I'm not sure who that is. I think that's just like an extra pirate. I'm not really sure who that's supposed to be. And then there's Luffy with that shirt from the chapter cover. And then yeah, so this is was supposedly the final one of the final shots for the end of the season, right? This is probably in episode 8. They're declaring their dreams, and then they're gonna break the barrel. That's what is supposed to happen here, right? And then of course, the infamous sort of gum gum thing. I do realize that he's actually it's like a cross between the English rendition or the English name and then the Japanese name, because he says gomu gomu gom gom, right? It's what it sounds like to me. But the very first time I heard it, I thought he said gomu gomu, and then the no part, gomu gomu no, kind of like fades out or something. It was like that heat of the moment type of thing. But yes, it's supposed to be gum gum, right? I guess, but I guess they wanted to keep it more of that Japanese name, so maybe he's saying gom gom instead of gum gum, right? Gum gum is like the localized version, I should say, of Gom Gomu no Mi, which is, the gum gum fruit, I guess you could say. The stretching, some say it's decent. I think here it's a little stiff, especially when he starts to like wind up. Like it's still straight. It's not like it's holding on to something, right? It's not holding something, it's just out there in the middle of the sea or above the sea. So I kind of wish they at least curve it a little bit or bounce it a little bit to make it like not stiff because it does look stiff here. And it's overall like stretching powers overall I think don't really translate well for live action stuff. Like even with like Mr. Fantastic, it just looks really really goofy, right? So I think stretching is something that will never be like 100% cool looking on live action screen. When it comes to cartoons, of course, that's something very very forgiving. Like Elastigirl from Incredibles, the Marvel animated series stuff, of course, with Luffy and the anime stuff. That's way more forgiving. It definitely belongs there. When it comes to live action, it can't be helped. It's gonna look bad no matter what you do. It's something you can't really do about because overall, it just doesn't look as cool live action, no matter what you do or how much well done it is. But at least to alleviate or soften the blow, I would say, like, look at the way it just moves. It looks like it's fixed to a point, right? And even here, it looks like really stiff. That's why I wanted to see a little more of a bounce, a little more of a curve to it. Um, I mean, when you stretch something, like a Stretch Armstrong or something like that, like any of the stretchy toys, yeah, it looks straight, but that's because you're pulling back something, right? It's not like there's no, again, there's no fixed pointers like that. Or there's supposed to be no fixed point here, and that's why he's not like grabbing onto something. He's just winding his fist back for a punch. So at least, I don't know. I mean, give him some muscle definition when he's stretching out, but give him some curves, give him some bounce, right? And then when he throws it forward, add that curve to it. Maybe we'll see that when he does more of these attacks, but for right now, I can't really say it looks great or anything like that, but it's just what could you do about it? Because again, no matter what you do, stretching just doesn't really translate well. I mean, that's also why I think with Miss Marvel, they went with the cosmetic powers because again, that doesn't really translate well. It's gonna look really goofy. Um, Especially when it's not well done. Again, yes, this show is supposed to embrace the goofiness, but even then, there's stuff to kind of like critique and make fun of. And then again, yes, this is supposed to be Lady Alvida. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I actually on this pause right here is actually a better shot right here because you get to see her full body and everything. Shot with the iron club, and looks like she, looks a pretty standard rendition of Alvida for the most part. They actually went full pink this time around, which is kind of interesting. She wears blue initially, at least anyway, for her pirate coat, and her hat is supposed to be more like elegant. I'm not sure what yeah, I don't know what kind of hat is that's supposed to be, but definitely not the same. And oh yeah, and then right here, Luffy says like, "Oh, cool fighters or good fighters are supposed to yell out the names of their attacks or whatever." And then Zoro says, "No, no, they don't." Even though yes, Zoro ironically does the same, right? It's more of that like that same type of writing, and I feel like it's going to be jarring for a number of people. Um, like hey, I mean, it's like it's making fun of the anime trope, right? So it's like it's doing that like self-awareness type of thing. Like haha, like look, we're making fun of ourselves. That's funny, right? You know? I don't think we need to hear that. Like I hope that if they do somehow continue this series, they take away that, man. It definitely does not sit well, and I feel like this is going to be one of the biggest weaknesses of this series, which is the dialogue, right? Doing that whole thing with the modern writing of like the self-awareness, pointing out stuff to the audience, like, oh, there's some tension going on, right? I sense some tension, right? That type of stuff. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see how much of that really plays into the dialogue here. And then you got the logo, which, looks fine. It's whatever. Right. All right, so that's pretty much the same length of the of the reaction video I did. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about to some degree. I'm a One Piece fan after all, so I did want to like talk about more stuff here. So um you know what? I almost forgot to point out something too that I wanted to point out for this video, and I cannot believe it took me this long to remember. Okay, so we have to remember that this is supposed to be Captain Morgan. I mean, it's the best you could do. I mean, you can't expect the One Piece portions, right? So all the big giant buff dudes are probably not gonna be that giant, but maybe buff, but definitely not giant. Excuse me. And I want to see how the axe hand translates, right? We'll definitely have to wait and see because we don't see the axe hand for sure. Because it's supposed to be axe hand um, axe hand Captain Morgan. At least they kept the iron jaw, which there is a story behind that, but maybe I shouldn't stay here for now and let the audience, the new audiences, find out on their own. But it's pretty interesting of how it kind of ties things with certain characters. But anyway, I believe that's pretty much it, though, for all the stuff to point out, really. And I don't think there's like any other Easter eggs or anything like that. Stuff to point out. I already pointed out Kobe right here, right? It's supposed to be like, yeah, there's supposed to be Kobe right here in the beginning of things when he's winding up the punch. Luffy's winding up the punch. I wonder where exactly this is supposed to be, because it's supposed to be like a smaller ship, it looks like. And then you see like some pirates over here, and then yeah, maybe it might be Kobe's ship, little escape ship or something. I'm not sure, or rather, giant escape ship. But yeah, yeah. So again, I think really the biggest jarring things will be the pacing and the dialogue here. Yes, there are plenty of things to make fun of or pick out things, critique or whatever when it comes to the visual stuff, like the stretching, the costuming and whatever. But again, I do want to say though, to make this clear, in my opinion anyway, in comparison to all the live actions anime stuff, I think this is probably one of the most, if not the most, respect that I've seen for um an anime live action series. We've seen like stuff like, remember Dragon Ball, that live action Dragon Ball, like geez Louise, man, like what happened to that, Um they try to include a number of things, but they like just deviate things at the same time. It just doesn't really do it justice. And yeah, that one just one of the infamous anime live actions of all time. And then there's the Full Metal Alchemist, Death Note, and stuff like that. You know, I think the problem is, yeah, like they try to do everything from the anime into live action, which doesn't really translate well. Here, it's like it does a pretty good job, including like all the important stuff, but at the same time keeping it like um tolerable to see on screen. Like the missing the long nose is gone, and then the curly eyebrows from Sanji are gone. You know, but for the most part, while yes, it is a trademark into to a degree, they left those for the most part to be it's for the best, that they left it out. And they still make those characters distinct, right? They still have the distinct features, like Usopp with his slingshot and his hair and like his bandana, and probably his personality will help him stick out a little more, right? With the lying aspect of things. Sanji is still Sanji for the most part, from visual side of things. But I want to say again, this is probably the most respect I've seen for an anime live action series. Respecting the source material and all that stuff, but at the same time, kind of do their due diligence to have things translate well to the big to our TV screens in that live action format. So yeah, they didn't change up anyone's like character in a way like, oh, this character's non-binary or trans or like that. Not that there's a problem with those individual aspect of things, but the problem of is that you're changing characters to sort of pander and sort of like checklist off, to try to bring in audiences like that when it's overall just unnatural, right? You know, and like it just changes up the character and stuff like that, and it kind of like butts heads. Like just you know, I think they did a good job there to keep it just the OG, right? Keep it like the original, and people aren't gonna have any problems with it, right? Because when you try to pander to those audiences, they don't really care for the most part, right? You wanna cater to the audience who already cares, and then maybe that'll bring in more audiences, right? Just with that attraction alone. So, like, I guess you could say it could, but overall, it's gonna do more damage than anything. I think that's the one another point I wanted to say. You know, uh, I hope the dialogue is more or less One Piece, and very few moments where Luffy does the modern kind of poking fun at like tropes type of stuff. With the attack names and stuff like that. Fourth wall breaking stuff, right? Um, there's no character in One Piece that does that, so I hope that doesn't like really become jarring. And I think, yeah, again, the pacing will be probably an issue, right, for a number of us fans. I don't know about the new audiences, but yeah. Um, but okay, so speaking of that, was was this was this live action series really needed in the first place? No, I'm gonna say, despite me being trying to be like positive and stuff like that for this show, I will still stand by that this show was not needed. This whole live action thing for One Piece was not needed in the first place. But maybe I believe in Oda's eyes, this is a way to bring in audiences, whether this comes out good or bad. Maybe that's what Oda believed from the get go, right? And yeah, he had say in the final casting of things and all that stuff, but for the most part, he's still not directing the series. He's producing it, I believe, for the most part. He's not directly involved with the production, but they show them, you know, the I guess the pilot or whatever. They show them the final product, a sneak peek or whatever, and he seems fine with it because it's live action. Whether it's good or bad, it's live action. There's only so much you could do, with the given material and the given time and what was shot and stuff like that. But either way, it's going to attract more people, whether it's good or bad. So maybe that's what Godo wanted in the first place, just to see more attraction. It's kind of like the what Dyson released with that ridiculous looking like air filter mask thing, right? They know not many people are gonna buy it, but what it does, it has YouTubers talking like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. This is really stupid. No one's gonna buy this." It creates press, and that press is very important, whether it's good or bad. There's that saying, "Bad publicity is publicity," right? good or bad publicity, you're gonna get attention to it. You're gonna have more eyes and ears on you, and especially if you capitalize on that, you'll definitely get more numbers. So I think overall, even if this does do bad overall, Oda is still just only gonna bring in more people. Like they're gonna bring more interest. Like, I wonder what the original material is like. So whether they consume the manga or the anime, that's still more eyes on his stuff. So that's just my theory anyway. I guess my tinfoil hat theory of why this is happening in the first place. But I mean that's just how I see things. But yeah, overall, this live action series is something I will watch. I will give it a fair college try, like I said in the reaction video. And I'm gonna give a review for probably each episode because it is One Piece, and I, will probably have a lot of things to say about it for each episode, unlike like Last of Us. So probably episode by episode, I'll likely to have things to say for each of them to have a video for each, right? I think that's pretty much the plan of things once this comes out August 31st. So right at the end of summer, it's gonna be coming out. I think I'm hoping that it comes out all at once. So that way we can all consume it like that and blah blah blah. But maybe it might be weekly. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I will give it a watch. I still feel very similarly when I first saw the trailer. It's just like kind of bloody curious or devilishly curious. Um, you know, I still have that sense of like caution, right? I'm not 100% confident, but having to see the trailer, it's definitely not the biggest disaster I've seen, but there are still things to make fun of, to poke at, and there are still things to worry about, especially with the pacing and the dialogue. The writing of it definitely does play a huge part of it because with like this is kind of what happened with Cowboy Bebop, right? I kind of had similar feelings about it, like, oh, visually it looks interesting. Oh, look at the trailer. They did the thing, right, with the opening and stuff like that. And the sets look pretty good. Just like here, the sets look pretty good. But when it came to when it came down to the brass tacks and stuff like that, the actual episodes, how it played out, how it was pasted, how the writing was, how it was acted and stuff like that, the overall production of things or the overall show was very it did have its shining moments here and there, very very few shining moments here and there, but overall it was kind of a disaster. It was overall not a good product. Valiant effort, but the execution was short. So could be the same thing here, or this could probably potentially break the curse. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And hopefully, if it does continue, they take notes of it, right? Like, really mild down that like cheesy that writing. You know what I mean? Like the whole fourth wall breaking thing, making fun of the show or making fun of stuff. You know. Hopefully that's is taken to consideration. Okay, I definitely have talked long enough about it. It is One Piece though. I love One Piece. I'm a number one fan of it in a way. It's still my favorite series of all time. I've said that many times at this point. That's why we're here, right? That's why I'm here talking about this whole thing again in a closer look kind of fashion because it is One Piece. I love it. Still going with it. I'm like completely. I'm still caught up on the manga side of things. Um, and yeah, I'm waiting on that 4th week break. Oda-san is getting that eye surgery, so best wishes to that. And I definitely should try to like catch up on the anime because that's where I'm a little behind with the Wano arc stuff. I left off where I think Yamato was like first introduced. So but by the manga, I'm like current, like caught up. I've been keeping up with it weekly, all that stuff. It's been really juicy. But yeah, we'll definitely see how this anime like wraps up this season, right? And all that stuff. Are we gonna see Chopper? Are we gonna see other stuff being teased by the end? We don't know. Um, gotta wait, man. Gotta wait for the official release and everything. So that's all I got. Finally, thank you very much for tuning in for this long ass video of me just going on about One Piece. If you guys like to kind of talk about like what you've observed from this trailer alone, other live actions related things for One Piece, leave it down below in the comment section. I'd love to read them. You know, I'm all for a friendly, open conversation about One Piece. And yeah, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Check out all the links in the description, including my Rogue Energy affiliation. Click on the link, hit that coupon code. You'll save some money, and also you get that awesome energy, which you're probably going to be needing for this series because it could either be super high energetic in a good way, or it could be, you know, boring in the worst way possible. Hey, it's possible, right? All right, so I would much appreciate that. And again, thank you very much. This has been my closer look on this One Piece trailer for Netflix. Thank you very much, and hope to see you all in the next one. Sean out.